Georgia was under Soviet occupation for nearly 70 years, from 1921 until 1991. Even before the collapse of Soviet Union, Georgia declared independence. But Russia never let us go. It invaded and occupied Abkhazia, where around 60% of the local population was forced to flee as a result of ethnic cleansing. Russia's influence did not stop there. It sent Eduard Shevardnadze, Moscow's former foreign minister, to serve as Georgia's president, keeping the country under Russia's political influence. In 2003, Georgia experienced the Rose Revolution. It was a turning point. The revolution was successful. Russia's so-called peacekeepers had to leave. And for the first time, Georgia began to build its own democracy on its own terms. In just a short time, the country exceeded even some European states in terms of development and reform. But in 2008, Russia invaded Georgia again. Villages were destroyed, civilians were killed, and thousands were displaced. The war ended with the occupation lines hardened, leaving 20% of Georgia under Russia's control to the day. Unfortunately, the government of Mikhail Saakashvili, who came to power after the Rose Revolution, refused to step down when it was time. His later years in the office were marked by grave human rights violations and weakening public trust. This opened the way for Bidzina Ivanishvili, a billionaire who came his fortune in Russia. He even held shares in Gazprom, enough to raise serious questions about his loyalty. Yet he skillfully manipulated the media, presenting himself as pro-European and pro-democracy. Many believed him. On the eve of elections, with Russia's help, Ivanishvili's team spread fabricated video that appeared to show Georgian prison guards torturing, raping inmates. The footage was staged to discredit the government of Mikhail Saakashvili, but it shocked the country and decisively shaped the outcome of the votes. Ivanishvili won the elections. Once in power, his government spoke of democracy and European aspiration, while slowly making Georgia economically dependent on Russia. In 2019, they tested Georgian people's reaction by inviting Russia's MP Sergei Lavrov to address our parliament. This sparked massive national protests, which were met with violent riots and repression. The following elections were manipulated again, deepening Russia's influence over Georgia's economic and social trajectory. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the Georgian government began openly criticizing Europe and United States. It restored direct flights to and from Russia and allowed more than 1 million Russians to relocate to Georgia, a country whose population is only about 3.7 million. In 2024, elections were once again reached, while the government continued to claim that it was leading Georgia towards European Union. In practice, it redirecting the country firmly towards Russia. Since then, the Georgian people have been protesting for more than 300 days without significant international support. Today, there are over 60 political prisoners, and nearly all major opposition leaders remain behind bars. Now, while the European Union has imposed only limited sanctions on the members of the ruling elite, it is even discussing suspending the visa-free policy that allows Georgian citizens to travel to Schengen area for up to 90 days within a 180-day period. Ordinary people, the very ones resisting repression and fighting for democracy, may lose their right to travel freely, while those truly responsible, undermining Georgia's democracy, remain largely unaffected. This is the reality of Georgia, a nation that has endured occupation, invasion, manipulation, and repression, and yet its own people continue to resist. Is this response from the European Union fair? Should not these sanctions be directed at those in power, the regime, and its own enablers, rather than punishing society that continues to stand up against them and strives for democracy? Leave the comments below.